Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Benjamin, and welcome to another GameMaker tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be doing, let me show you real quick what we're going to be doing. We're going to be building a basic artificial intelligence system that uses states, and I'm going to keep it really simple like this, where they have a sight range, and if you move into that sight range, they'll chase you. If they get close enough, they'll actually start attacking you, and your health will go down, which is represented by how much you can see. If you move out of their sight range, they'll stop chasing you because they can't see you anymore. So this is a really basic artificial intelligence system. It's not really anything too fancy, but it's a good way to get started. And you can see that our character can actually run out of HP all the way and die. So let's get started. First thing you're going to do is you're going to create a new sprite, and we're going to call this sprite player. We'll create another sprite, and we'll call this sprite enemy. Now go into sprite player, a new sprite 32 by 32, and I'm just going to get this blue color right here and draw a circle. There's the player sprite, and I'm going to center it. We're going to come over to the enemy, and we're going to do, let's see, 32 by 32 again. And I'm going to grab this red color right here, do a circle. If you hold shift when you're drawing a circle, it forces it to be a circle. It won't let you draw the ovals. Sweet. So we got our player and our enemy. Now what we're going to do is go into the player and let's see. Create a new object and set the sprite on that object equal to player, sprite player, and we're going to call it object player. Okay. Oops, I didn't mean to hit enter there. Oh, and two things. Number one, everybody's been commenting on what my desktop is. So I'm going to show you guys. This is what my desktop is. This is a picture of my little girl Ashton. So there you go. Now you know what my desktop is. Second, check out this tutorial is actually being made in line, I guess. Not really, that's not the right word. It's a tutorial from my GameMaker book, or that will be in my GameMaker book that I'm writing, and there's a link for that in the description if you want more information. So okay, go back into the object player, add an event, add a create event, and drag over a code. We're going to call this initialize the player, and we're going to say player HP equals 1. Well, let's do 10. I lied. HP equals 10. Sweet. Now we're going to add an event, a step event, and we're going to have this move the player. Var right equals, right equals keyboard check, vk right, var left equals keyboard. Let's copy this. I'm going to copy down, make this left, and this left, this up, and this up, this down, and this down. Now we're going to do a basic movement system. If right x plus equals 4, if left x minus equals 4, if up y minus equals 4, if down y plus equals 4. That's kind of not really the important part of the game. We're also going to, in order to represent the health, we're going to use the image's alpha value. So we're going to do image alpha equals HP divided by 10. And if HP is less than or equal to 0, we're going to end the game. Oops. There we go. Okay, got our basic player in. Let's create a room. Create a new room. Call this room. I'm gonna do 640 by 360 for the room's width and height. In views, I'm going to enable the use of views, visible when room starts. View in room is going to be 640 by 360 as well. The port on the screen is going to be 1280 by 720, which is double that. And we don't need to follow an object or anything. And I'm going to make the background, let's see, I'm going to put the player in, and I'm going to make the background of the room oh, I don't know. Just a darker gray, I guess. Sweet. Now, if we run this game, we can move around in the room. So pretty basic. I'm actually going to go into the, click this little button up here and go into Windows, Graphics, and uncheck Interpolate Colors Between Pixels. So it looks not quite so... It makes the edges look weird if you don't do that. So this looks a little bit nicer. Okay, now we're going to create the enemy object. So create a new object. Call this object enemy. Give a sprite of sprite enemy. And we're going to add a create event. This is where we're going to start working with the enemy. Initialize the enemy. We're going to give it a state text. This just draws the state to the screen. We don't actually need this, but just for this example, I'm going to have it draw the state to the screen. So state text equals idle. State, the state variable, I'm going to set this equal to a script. Equals script enemy idle. Now don't do the parentheses after this, because that would actually call the script. We just want to save it in memory to this state, so we're not going to do it with the script call operators. Site range equals choose 96, 128, and 180. Attack range equals 24. So these are just distances that we're going to use later. Speed equals 3. So the enemies move slower than our player. So it's going to choose one of these sight ranges, which will be the distance that it will be able to see. And then attack range is going to be how far away it needs to be able to attack. And this is the movement speed. Now, we need to create a step event, but this step event, all it's going to do is control the states. And we're just going to do script execute state. So this is just going to, in our step event, we're going to execute whatever script is assigned to the state variable. So we're going to create some scripts that we can assign to the state variable. Currently, the script that's assigned is script enemy idle. So let's create that script. Come up here to the top, do create new script, and we'll call this script enemy idle. Script enemy idle. Okay. Inside this script, it's going to be a pretty simple state. All we need to do is we need to, so let's set the idle. let's set the state text equals idle, because we're in the idle script or state. We need to find how far away the player is from us. This is going to be what controls the logic of our enemy, is checking the distance to the player. So we'll do var dis equals point distance x, y, object player.x. Let me extend this out a little bit. Object player.y. Now we're going to do if dis is less than or equal to sight range. So if the distance to the player is less than the range of sight, what does that mean? Well, that means that we can see the player, right? It's within our sight. So what are we going to do if the player's in the sight? Well, we need to change states. So we're going to do state equals script enemy chase. Okay, once again, don't put the parentheses here, because that would actually call the script. We just want to set the script to our state variable. And what'll happen is when it cycles around to the next step event, then it'll actually run the script. So let's create this script now. We've got our script enemy idle. Let's create our script enemy chase. Script enemy chase. Let me open up my reference here so I can see. This one's actually going to be the most complicated logic in our enemy, probably. It's not too bad still. State text equals chase, because we're in the chasing one. And like I said, this variable is actually not needed. This is just so we can draw whatever state they're in for debugging purposes. Var dis equals point distance x, y, object player.x, object player.y. And then we're going to do var dir equals, and you can just copy this up here and change it from point distance to point direction, because it takes the same arguments. So we got the distance and the direction to the player. So we're going to do a nice little if-else statement here. We're going to do if distance is less than or equal to sight range and distance is greater than attack range. So if we're close enough to see but not close enough to attack, what are we going to do? Motion set dir speed. We'll move in a direction towards the player at a speed of whatever our speed is. Else if distance is less than or equal to attack range. So if we're close enough to attack, well, we need to switch to the attack state. But we also, because of motion set, if we don't, our speed and direction will stay the same unless we set them to something else because of motion set. So we're going to do speed equals 0, direction equals 0. Just set those. Technically, you don't need to do it with direction, actually. We'll just set speed equal to 0. That just stops the enemy when it's time to attack. State equals script enemy attack. We don't have that state yet, or that script, but we will create it. Else, inside here we're going to do speed. We need to set the speed equal to 0 again. So this says if we're within range of the enemy to see it but not to attack it, we're going to move to it. If we're in the attack range, we're going to actually attack it. But if we're not in any of those, what does that mean? It means the enemy, or it means the player is outside of our reach. So we just need to switch back to the idle state. State equals script enemy idle. There it is. Really quick, we need an alarm. so our enemy doesn't kill us instantly. We need it to like wait in between attacks. So we're going to add an event, and we're going to add an alarm. It's going to be alarm 0. And inside here, alarm for enemy attacks. We don't need to actually put any code in there. We just need to put this code block to make sure the compiler doesn't delete the alarm event. We'll control the alarm stuff outside of it. In fact, we're going to put it in the script. So add a script and call this script enemy attack. Script enemy attack. Okay. And let's open up this script on my reference. So state text equals attack. We're in the attack state. Var dis equals point direction or distance x y object player.x object player.y. And let me stretch this out so you guys can see it a little better. I wish that started out at a slightly higher default, but whatever. If our distance is greater than attack range, well, that means we can't attack anymore. We want to switch back to a chasing state. State equals script enemy chase. Else, attack. We're going to attack. So we can put chase here. So what are we going to actually do when we attack? Well, we're just going to do if alarm 0 equals -1, then what are we going to do? Object player.hp minus equals 1, alarm 0 equals 30. So if our alarm is at 0, basically, alarms stop at -1. So if the alarm's at 0 and the player's hit, let's see, then we want to subtract 1 damage from the player's hit points. And we want to set alarm to 30 again, which will be a second. Okay. Now we have all 3, idle, chase, and attack states. You could have other states here. You could have swim, you could have run, you can have whatever states you want here, and then you just set the state variable equal to that script, and in your step event, it'll execute that script. So it's a really good way to keep your code separate from each other, so it doesn't mess it up, and you only run one state at a time. Really, really useful. So we're going to add one more event to our enemy here just to top things off. This is going to draw the state that we're in, and it's going to draw our sight range. So add a draw event, drag over a code. We're going to do draw self and state. So I'm going to set the fonts horizontal align and vertical align. So these are some functions that might be useful if you have fonts in your game. In fact, they are useful. Set H align to FA center. So when it's horizontal, you center the alignment. Draw set V align. This is a vertical alignment. You do a middle, FA underscore middle. Draw self. So we're going to draw the enemy now. Draw set alpha. We're going to change the alpha value for the next line of code that we draw. We're going to set it to 0.1. Now we're going to draw a circle. Draw circle, color, X, Y, that's the starting, that's the X position. Sight range is the radius of the circle, so we want it to draw the sight of our enemies, how far they can see. We're going to do it in red, C red and C red. There's 2 colors. And you pass whether or not you want it to be an outline, and we want to put this as false. Now we need to set the alpha value back to 1, or else it'll draw everything in our game at 0.1. So we need to set it back to 1. And the last thing we're going to do is draw the text. Draw text XY state text. And like I said, that just draws, this is just for debugging purposes, that just draws the text of our state. Let's put a few enemies in our room. And I'm going to try and keep them away from my player, just so that they don't start chasing me right at the start. I'm going to save it and run the game, and hopefully we don't have any errors. Awesome. So you can see the different enemies and their different sight ranges. This one's got a pretty big one. Once I step into that, it'll start chasing me. I can move out of it again if I step in when it gets close enough. Let's see. .dis. And this is in... There's an error in our script attack. So let's go to script attack, enemy attack. Oh, I've got an underscore here. It should be just a space. Var distance with no underscore. Before, yeah, I don't know why I had an underscore there. Okay, now it should work. We should be able to be attacked. So let's come over. Let's get a couple of these guys chasing us. 2 of them attacking us will die twice as fast. Boom, we're dead. Game over. So there's a really basic state system with artificial intelligence. I know I've done another video similar to this one that had a state system and artificial intelligence, but I wanted to do one that was kind of more of like a, I don't know, this one I feel has a nice controlled a nice way of doing it, nice and controlled, and this is the one that I'm going to be using in my book because it's quite a bit simpler and it's a great starting point. If you're just learning how to do artificial intelligence, this is a great place to start. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure and like, favorite, and subscribe, and check out my book in the link in the description. So I will talk to you guys later.